Hi everyone, and welcome to the video. Today we're taking a look at the limited edition Sandisk portable SSD Pili edition with 1TB of storage. You're probably wondering why I chose this particular SSD. Well, the answer is simple. It was the cheapest external SSD I could find available to buy in my country. The drive uses a USB 3.2 Gen 2 interface and is advertised with sequential read speeds of up to 800 megabytes per second. Interestingly, Sandisk doesn't mention the write speed anywhere on the box or in the main marketing materials, and that's usually not a very promising sign. But don't worry, we'll put that claim to the test later in this review and see how it performs in real-world use. Inside the box, you'll find the SSD itself, a USB-C to USB-A cable, along with the usual quick start guide and warranty documentation. The drive is compatible with Windows, macOS, PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox Series X and S, and many USB-C devices. That said, I do think Sandisk should have included a USB-C to USB-C cable as well. Since more and more laptops, tablets, and smartphones rely on USB-C ports, it would have made the package much more convenient right out of the box. And of course, we can't forget the Fortnite bonus. Included in the box is a code card that lets you redeem an exclusive Fortnite pickaxe in the game. The drive itself has a really nice and compact design. You won't find any indicator lights here, just a simple clean look with a built-in loop for attaching it to a bag or keychain, and a single USB-C port. So, in this video, I'll test the real-world transfer speeds, examine the SLC cache performance, and see how well it handles long file transfers. Let's connect it to the PC and find out how this special Pili edition performs in everyday use. The drive comes pre-formatted with the exFAT file system, which makes it compatible with both Windows, Android, and macOS out of the box. However, for my tests, I'll reformat it to NTFS. If you're planning to use this drive only with a Windows PC, in my opinion, NTFS is the better choice. Now let's open the Sandisk dashboard and desktop application and see if they can detect this drive and what kind of information they show about it. Since the dashboard app gave an error while trying to check for firmware updates, I assume this is something that should be done through the desktop application, but for now it reports that the firmware is already up to date. As you can see, the drive is recognized as WD-CSN350E. This suggests that inside the enclosure we have a WD-Green M.2 SSD variant. Let's move on to the synthetic benchmarks. As you can see, the results are actually quite impressive. However, we should keep in mind that this is only a 1GB test, which means the drive is mostly using its SLC cache. Here we have the full drive read speed test. As you can see, the results look good and are right in line with the speeds advertised on the box. Now let's check the real sustained write speed of the drive and find out how large the SLC cache actually is. As you can see, the SLC cache is exhausted almost immediately after the write process starts, and the drive continues writing at a steady speed of around 300 megabytes per second. These are more typical numbers for an older budget SSD rather than a modern high-performance drive. As we can see, the drive has around 4 GB of SLC cache. This means that when copying files, the first 4 GB will be transferred at a much higher speed of around 800 megabytes per second. After the SLC cache is full, the write speed will drop to around 300 megabytes per second. Here I'm adding a 3D Mark benchmark result so you can compare the performance with your current drive. Now let's move on to the real-world file transfer tests. Before we start, I can already tell you that the results match what we saw in the full drive benchmark. When writing files, the first 4 GB are transferred at high speed thanks to the SLC cache, and after that the speed drops significantly. However, when reading files, the drive performs very well and reaches its maximum speed consistently. And here we have the same file transfer test using a program called FastCopy. In this case, it doesn't make a huge difference. The transfer speeds are only slightly faster compared to Windows File Explorer. However, when using high-performance NVMe drives and copying large amounts of data, FastCopy can significantly outperform the Windows File Manager and make a noticeable difference in transfer times. So, who is this drive suitable for and who is it not suitable for? In my case, I plan to use it during my summer holidays to offload videos from my SD cards. For this type of usage, the write speed is limited by the speed of the SD cards themselves, so the performance of this SSD will be more than enough. It can also be a good option as a game drive, for example, storing and running games from Steam. When downloading games, the limiting factor will usually be your internet connection speed rather than the SSD. The read speed is fast enough, so loading games from this drive should not be a problem. And speaking of games, the final test will be checking game loading times. However, this drive is not the best choice if you frequently need to move very large amounts of data, such as video projects or game folders, between two PCs. In that case, it would be better to look at a more expensive and faster SSD, because this drive's sustained write speed will become the limiting factor during long transfers. And finally, we have the game loading test. I didn't even add two separate timers to compare this external disk with my still quite fast internal NVMe drive, because the difference was practically impossible to notice. The loading times were almost identical. Thank you everyone for watching until the end. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.